I've spent more than $12 million on Google Ads, working with hundreds of businesses across many different industries. And in this video, I'm going to share with you my favorite strategies, tips, and techniques for writing Google ad copy that gets people to click and, most importantly, convert. Now, when you advertise on Google, and the search network in particular, Google fixes all the variables. So you can't differentiate yourself by selecting a different font, or changing the color of the text within your ads, or changing even the size of the font. All those variables are fixed. The only way you can differentiate yourself from your competition is the copy, are the words that you actually write, and they become everything. They're essential to the success or failure of your Google ad campaign. That's what's going to determine whether or not the campaign works, is the words that you include, particularly, as I said, on the search network. So they are absolutely vital. And in this video, I'm going to run through a number of things that you need to think about and techniques and things like that that's going to help you write better ad copy, get more clicks and more conversions. Okay, so I've got my notes in front of me. Let's run through this. So the first thing I mentioned is that you want there to be strong ad search and ad copy congruity. What I mean by that is you want to mirror the language that your prospects are using when they search in your ad. And you want to make sure that the exact words, to the extent that you can, talk a bit more about that in a second, that someone is searching for show up in your ad. And that is going to make it more likely that they click. That is going to make it more likely that they convert, because they'll see your ad and they will absolutely think, this ad is for me. This is exactly what I was looking for, because it's very close to what they search for. Now, just a little aside, you can go one stage further than that and then link someone through to a landing page that also has the same language, and that helps increase conversions as you go through the sales process. But this is really important. So for example, if we are bidding on the keyword Google Ads Agency, let's say we're advertising our own Google advertising services, we're bidding on that keyword, then we want to have copy, we want to have headlines in our responsive search ads that have the words Google Ads Agency. And if I just jump into a quicker example, Google Ads, a responsive search ad that got prepped, we could add in Google Ads Agency. And if within this ad set, that was our main keyword, that was the main keyword theme that we were looking to target, we could go one stage further, not just adding Google Ads Agency here, but actually look to go ahead and pin that in position 1, so that all the ads that we show are going to feature this headline, Google Ads Agency, those exact words. And that might be really important to what we're offering and mirror what people are searching for, like I mentioned with the congruity. Just in case you're unfamiliar, by the way, guys, the way responsive search ads work with headlines, typically you'd add in a whole bunch of options. You can see here Google saying you need to have at least 3. And then what Google will do is they will cycle through the various options and try and find the best performers and the best combos. So you could have a whole bunch in here, and then Google's going to find out best 3, but you can choose, like I've just done here with Google Ads Agency, to just pin that one. And if that's what's mirroring your prospects' searches within Google, then that's great. Now, obviously you can't get this completely right. We know the way that keywords and searches work, in that they aren't the exact same things. I've got another video about that if you want to click on that link in the video description, talking about what actually is a keyword, because they don't mirror searches perfectly. We know that if we were targeting the keyword Google Ads Agency, our ad is also going to appear for people searching for things that are similar to Google Ads Agency, but not that exact word. So you can't do this perfectly, and I don't want you to stress about that and try and make it perfect, but you can do it to some extent, and this is exactly how we go about doing something like that. Having really good ad search and ad copy congruity, so the similarities between the two, also helps with your quality score, which is a metric that Google uses to assess the quality of your ads. And it actually affects what you end up paying on a cost per click basis, or how much you have to pay to be at the top of the page, for example, when people are searching for your various keywords. So that's really important. Again, I've got another video on quality scores and things like that, so I'll include a link to that in the video description in case you want a bit more information about that. But it's not only good from an advertiser standpoint, Google likes this as well. Point number 2 is that you want to include one clear call to action within the copy of your Google ad. Now, there are a number of different mistakes that Google advertisers make with this, and I'll show you an example of what I want you to do in a second. So firstly, some advertisers don't include a call to action at all within their Google ad copy. Big mistake. You definitely want one in there. People are more likely to take the action you want to take if you tell them to go and do it. Sometimes people do include them, Google advertisers do include a call to action, but it's a bit limp. It's sort of like, check out more information. Is that really going to get someone over the line? Not really. It wants to be quite direct, it wants to be clear, concise, and it also wants to be easily understandable. So don't use language or make assumptions in your call to action that people in your audience just will have no idea. The classic example of this, and this isn't necessarily a Google Ads context, but it applies, I think a lot of people have experienced this, where you take a car to a car garage to get some sort of repairs done. and they give you a call, whatever, and they tell you, oh, it's this, this, and this. And you're like, I have no idea. I don't know car. I have no idea what you're talking about. But car people always seem to assume that regular people understand cars like they do, and they talk in that language.
I didn't understand a one word you said.
Don't do that in your Google ad copy, and definitely don't do it with your call to action. You want to be really clear and present it from a standpoint where people aren't going to be familiar with whatever it is they're needing to do, or the terminology or the language. So don't use any sort of inside language, industry terms, stuff like that. I've also seen advertisers include more than one call to action. Again, big mistake. That's just confusing. You want one clear call to action. Okay, so let me show you an example with this one clear call to action. So we've got a Google Ads agency. Don't worry about that. There's going to be all sorts of jumbled up things. These are just examples. In this example, let's assume we're advertising roofing services, and the offer within the ad is a free roofing survey. Someone might think they've got a problem with their roof. They're searching for roofers, and they see this one that says, well, we'll come and have a look at your roof for free. And if there's a problem, then we can worry about it, but that's a good introductory offer. Well, we could have this as a headline that's a call to action saying, book your free roof survey now. So it's really clear and obvious what it is. It's a free roof survey. Anyone can understand what that is. It's quite direct, saying book and now. This is quite direct language. It just about gets in with the 30-character limit. Sometimes with your call to actions, you won't be able to have them up in headlines. Sometimes you'll need to go and put them down in the descriptions down here, just because the character limit is that much larger, or 3 times as large. And sometimes based on what it is that you're asking people to do with the call to action, you just need more characters to be able to accurately describe it. We can just about fit this in, and we could have made this shorter if we needed to get rid of the now and things like that, okay? So that's an example of one clear call to action. And now in our other headlines, I'll delete that out because it's looking a bit confused, isn't it? In our other headlines, we would not want to have other call to actions. Like, I've seen people have a direct call to action like that, and then they've got another one that's sign up for our free newsletter, and you think, no, get rid of that. That is not something that we want. That is not a good idea. Point number 3 is to include either your brand name or your product's brand name if there is positive brand recognition within your space, because it can really help improve the number of clicks you get and the number of conversions. And this sounds kind of silly, but I've seen large companies with a really recognizable brand name not heavily feature their brand name in their ads. And even smaller businesses that are, say, advertising, or they're selling products where the product itself comes from perhaps a different company that doesn't sell direct to consumer, but that product has a recognizable brand name and positive associations, and they're not really heavily featuring it. I've spoken before with companies that think, well, yeah, it's in the URL, people will see that. No. You want it clear, front and center in the headlines. If you're selling something that people instantly going to recognize, they're far more likely to trust that that product or service is going to deliver based on the brand name. Therefore, you want to make it that. That's why brand is valuable. That's why brand's important. Just a quick point, this won't apply to everyone, but one that you obviously want to get in there if it does apply to you, because it can make a big difference, and I've seen advertisers not include it. Okay, the next point is to emphasize benefits associated with your products and services, not just features. Most Google advertisers just focus on what their product or service has, but not necessarily what that then does for the customer. So yes, you want to include the features, but you want to, where possible, try and ladder it up to the benefit. Let me give you an example where we're just focusing on the feature, which is not what we want to do, and then I'll change it and show you how we would write it instead if we were going to emphasize the benefit associated with that feature. So I'll give you a different business example here. So I'll start with the bad option. So let me delete that out. Let's say we're advertising an interior design business here. And this interior design business, they will obviously design home renovation, they will do all the design work, and they'll manage the project. And that's the main sort of traditional interior design service, right? So you could have as a headline, if you're just focusing on the feature, we manage contractors for you. That is a feature of the service, that this interior design company will manage the contractors. And that's fine, but it's not as good as if we made it benefit rich. So a better version that's saying effectively the same thing is hassle-free home renovations. Because why does someone want an interior design company to manage all the contractors? It's because they don't want all the hassle of it. They want the outcome. They want a home that's renovated, that's now beautiful, that's now lovely, but they don't want to have to deal with these people and they're late, and they want paying extra, and there's a reason why they're delayed, and it has a knock-on effect, and these things can be a nightmare. So hassle-free, that is the benefit that we're looking to add in. So really important to not just focus on features, but include the why is that feature good? What does it get people? Does it save them time? Does it save them money? And does it save them headache? Does it help them achieve something they want to achieve? Really emphasize those benefits in your copy, both in your headlines and in your descriptions. So we can take the previous point and go one stage further and ladder up those benefits to higher level emotions, okay? So this really gets to the core of why someone wants to purchase your product or service, why they might want to purchase your product or service. So let's use another example here. So let's say you are selling gym memberships. Now, why does someone want to use the gym? So the gym membership, you can come in, use the gym, we have all this stuff, that's the feature. The benefit might be losing weight. I want to lose weight. That would be the benefit, just like we talked in the previous point. But why does someone want to lose weight? Laddering up to higher level emotions is asking that why. Do they want to lose weight because they want to fit back into clothes that they can no longer wear? Do they want to lose weight because it's nearly summer and they want to look good on the beach and they didn't look good on the beach last year and they really didn't like it, they didn't want to take their clothes off, etc. So here's an example of how we would look to ladder up the benefit to the emotion. So let me delete out these examples here. And actually I've got an example here that we would pop in the description as opposed to the headline because we need the extra characters, and often when you're laddering up to high level emotions from a benefit, you're going to need the extra space. It's going to go in the description. So something like this: get Beachbody ready with 50% off gym membership today. So the feature is the 50% off gym membership, and we've gone straight to the high level emotions. It's not just lose weight, it's get Beachbody ready. That's why someone wants to lose weight. They didn't like it last year, and it's about to be summer, and when they're there with their friends or whatever, they want to look good, they want to feel confident. That's the higher level emotion. Now, when you keep going up the ladder of emotions, eventually you only get to a few different options that you can, you keep asking why, you only get to a few different options, sort of core human desires. And it's a desire for improved status, to be healthier, or to improve relationships is effectively it. So if you think about going through the example, okay, 50% off gym membership, why do they want to join the gym? To lose weight. Why do they want to lose weight? To look good at the beach. Why do they want to look good at the beach? Because they were embarrassed last time and they felt that negatively impacted their relationships with their friends. They couldn't join in as much, or maybe their partner was looking at them and they wanted to be more attractive, right? So you end up with relationships or status in that scenario. You could even tie in health as well, of course. When you ladder up and you really think about it, you end up there, and it's good to think through your product or service. Like, what's the end goal of why someone buys this, right? With our Google Ads services, for example, we could be like, why does someone want to buy that? Right, well, they want better results from their Google Ads. Okay, why do they want that? Because they'll have a more successful business. Why do they want that? Because it's improved status. Or they can then spend more time with their family. So it'd be status, relationships. Or maybe they're really stressed out and that'd be better for their health as well. Often you can make it work for a lot of them, but it's just good to think through those things. Now, if you're going through this thinking, this Google Ads stuff seems really complicated, I don't want to have to learn about all these various copy tips and techniques, I just want leads, I just want sales from my Google Ads, my company can do that for you. We can create, manage, and optimize your Google Ad campaigns. We can get you better results than if you do it yourself, and take that workload off your hands so you can focus on other areas of your business and you don't have to worry about any of this stuff. If you're interested in that, there is a link in the video description. You can click on that, come through to a page on our website and book in a free call with one of my team members to find out more about our service. No obligation call, of course, but you can find out more how we might be able to help. So if you're interested, go ahead and do that, and hopefully we'll be working together very soon. Okay, point number 6 is guarantees. And where possible, it's great to include guarantees in your Google Ad copy. And there's a number of different ways that you can structure a guarantee if you don't already have one, and look to include it in your Google Ads. So the first and most simplest would be money back if you're not happy, right? So that might look something like this. So if we jump back into our campaign, this I'd like to put in a headline if you can. You could have something like this: 100% money back guarantee. Not conditional anything, you're not happy, you get your money back. But there are some other guarantees or guarantee structures that you could look to use. So instead of if you're not happy, it could be money back if we don't achieve a certain outcome. So you're a personal trainer, guarantee you'll lose 10 pounds within 3 months, or you get your money back. That's a really strong guarantee. Or you could even, instead of having money back, you could commit to that outcome but extend the time period. So lose 10 pounds within 3 months, or I will keep working with you for free until we hit that objective. So a number of different ways you can structure guarantees, but guarantees are really, really powerful because it reverses the risk. Whenever a prospect is thinking about buying a product or service, and think about how you buy things, you do the same thing. You are constantly making the assessment, will this actually work? Will this get me what I want it to get? Do I trust this company? Do I trust that they know what they're doing? Do I think this product's going to look good? Do I think it's going to do what they say it does? You're constantly making those assessments. That's why brand is so valuable. I know we mentioned that previously, because when you are thinking about buying a new pair of running shoes, if you see a pair of Nike running shoes, you are far more likely to think that's likely to be a good pair of running shoes and do the job I need and not fall apart than if it's a brand you haven't heard of. That's why that brand is so powerful. And you might be willing to pay more, you're much more likely to convert, etc., etc. Guarantees can do that, and they're so powerful, particularly for smaller businesses, particularly for businesses that operate locally where your competitors aren't doing that sort of thing. Like I gave a personal trainer example. How many personal trainers are willing to guarantee a certain outcome and then either give you your money back or work with you until you hit it if you don't? Very, very few. That really helps you stand out. And if you can include a guarantee, putting that in your Google Ads, featuring it prominently in your headlines can make a big difference. It's one of the things that I do probably more than any other copywriting technique when I'm thinking about, writing ads or working with a new client, is I think either do you have a guarantee? Could you offer a guarantee? Often the business owner will be reluctant. I'll explain the benefits and I say, look, we need to get this in this ad because the clicks will go through the roof. And like I said, you can make it conditional. You could have a guarantee that is, we guarantee to lose you £10 within 3 months, or we keep working until you do. But then when they go through the sales process, you'd be like, by the way, you need to stick to all the sessions. Like you need to come to all the personal training sessions. Otherwise that guarantee is invalid. You can put these, that's very reasonable, I think. You can't guarantee someone an outcome if they don't actually do the work. So you can have things like that that make actually paying out the guarantee less likely, or it's actually less likely because you know that if they take the steps they need to take, they will hit the goal, so that it's not too potentially damaging to the business, but it can make a really big difference to your results, to your click-through rate in particular. Okay, and then the last point, and this is one of the most powerful, is to stand out. Do something to stand out. So the typical way Google advertisers, particularly when the new Google advertisers create Google ads, write copy, is they take a look at what their competitors are doing, and then they basically kind of create a mismatch from all those various points. They're like, oh, I quite like that line from his ad, and I quite like that line from her ad. I'll put those two, and that's my copy. But that's not where the best results come from. The best results always come from doing something different, because otherwise your ads are just going to look exactly the same as your competitors, and then whether they click on yours or theirs, just based on who's paying the more per click, who's paying to be higher on the page, and that's not where the best results come from. The best results come from standing out. Now, when you create an ad that is different, I'm going to run through some examples in a second, it's most likely not going to work. It's most likely not going to land. But one of the beautiful things about creating Google ads, particularly with their responsive search ad format, is you can have loads of headlines, you can have loads of descriptions. You can afford to try things and Google will test it out for you. So you might create 5 different headline versions that are kind of out there, and I would not be at all surprised if 4 of them absolutely flop and don't do anything, but one might deliver much better results than your regular sort of standard Google ads headlines using some of the other techniques we talked about, perhaps looking at your competitors. So don't do it exclusively, don't take that risk, but add in some things around the edges that you think, I've not seen this before, I don't think anyone else in my space is doing this, this could look to do really well. So let's run through some examples of what you might include to do this. How do you go about creating something that's a little bit different, a little bit out there? One of the best ways is humor. Can you try and be funny with your ad?
You serious?
Again, jokes are often going to land badly. Like I said, 4 out of 5 might completely flop, that's okay, but one might really land. What that looks like for your business is going to very much depend on your product, services, and your industry. Can you tie something into the product or service? Can you think about incorporating, a known joke or maybe even a little play on words? These things often don't work, I want to be very clear, but you can sometimes find them that work really well. So humor is a great way. Curiosity. Instead of being super direct and upfront, can you entice more clicks by introducing an element of curiosity, an element of someone finding out more? Before you launch your ad, if you get someone to read through and have a look at this, you want them to be reading it going, oh, that's interesting, wanting to click. If we think about how headlines are often written for content, news article for example, they will employ a lot of curiosity. You can take some of those things, again, it's massively going to depend on your industry, what that actually looks like, but you can try and incorporate some of that into your Google ads where you want people to go, oh, I really want to find out what that looks like, what are they talking about here? I want to find that out. Hard to do, often will flop, sometimes can work really well. You can also try and be a bit cheeky in your ads, directly call out that you can beat a competitor. So I'll give you an example of that. This is one I came up with now. Just to be clear, this is not something that we actually offer, but here's a good example of something that could be a bit cheeky that you could put in your copy. So we'd have to put this in the description. But here we've got, we'll beat your current agency or take your whole team on vacation. That's different. No one else is offering that. It's combining that being a bit cheeky, your current agency, with a guarantee, which is great. If you can combine multiple points here, you'll see ads that we create between the descriptions and the headlines. We might use, 4 or 5 of these different techniques that I've run through, not just one. And that's an example of combining 2 within the same description line. but cheeky, curiosity, humor are great ways to go when it comes to trying to create something that's just completely different. And when you are searching on Google and you're seeing other Google ads pop up, whether your industry or someone else's industry, just keep an eye out for things that you think, oh, that's really clever, that's really well done. I'm going to use something like that in my space and see if it lands. Most won't at this point, but the ones that do can perform so much better than just the standard stuff that it can massively improve performance and more than pay for the failed attempts. So that's ad copy taken care of, but are you using the best possible Google Ads bidding strategy for your business? In this video, I explain the bidding strategy options and which one you should be using. Bidding strategies are incredibly important to the success of your Google Ad campaigns. You have to get this right, so go ahead and check it out.